next generation of KGO 810. Now back to Ethan Bearman.
I wanna be an outcast.
And that's what happens when you have a ministry of truth. Excuse me, alternative facts. Not ministry of truth. It's not Orwell. It's not, it's alternative facts. And it's Kellyanne Conway. And we can just say what we want. And it doesn't have to be reality. And so my friend Dr. Gleb Tsipursky is coming back on the show. I want to welcome him back. He's the president and co-founder of Intentional Insights at intentionalinsights.org. Dr. Tsipursky. Okay, so can I just make things up and manipulate to get my way? I mean, isn't that what we're talking about here? Just make things up and manipulate and win, and here we are.
Yes, that's right. That is what happened, and that's what happens. And I really appreciate you having me back on the show, Ethan. And that's not an alternative fact.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I mean, but we are living in a time that it's interesting because we've gotten the war on the media now, and actually I'm curious. I want to posit this for you. I laid this out to begin the show today. We had numerous autocrats, dictators, whichever term you want to use, for a number of people in the 20th century. I would include Stalin, I would include Hitler, I would include Mao Zedong, and I don't remember the guy who was in charge of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, but they all did the same thing, which was to demonize and attack first educated people, the press, etc., who weren't on their side, and then they turned the populace against them. And in some cases that led to things that I don't think will happen here in the United States. But the point is by making the media the enemy, that is how you kind of begin a new phase of propaganda. What do you think of that theory, that's exactly what just transpired here?
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I write about in my content. So I research truth and politics as one of my areas of research, and we don't even have to go to such an extreme example as Hitler or Mussolini or others. We can go to a more mild form of authoritarianism, such as Vladimir Putin, who, as we know, our current president has a very favorable opinion of. So Vladimir Putin he came to power in Russia, which was at that time, just after the Soviet Union, it was a fledgling democracy. There was freedom of the press, freedom of speech. And people were very happy. I mean, they were really happy that, the authoritarianism of the Soviet Union was behind them. So we don't have to go to Lenin. Now, Putin came to power, and he started by attacking the media. He started by criticizing the media, saying the media is bad. He went further. He started actually physically assaulting the media, killing the media. There were some people in the media who were killed.
Yes. With
a lot of evidence showing that it's Putin's government that has been implicated in the killings. And you know what? When Trump was asked that question about Putin, you think he was upset about the media being killed in Russia? No, he said something like, "Oh well, we kill plenty of people in the United States here too." How outrageous is that sort of statement when he's asked about the government in Russia killing the media, and he kind of bypasses that as though it's a non-issue. That's terrible, and it's showing you some of the same stuff that's happening over here. When Trump is coming to office and he is attacking the media, as he said, he's hopefully not killing media yet, but he's using the powers of the presidency already to pursue his false facts, alternative facts agenda. So we know that he is right now launching an investigation into the pretty much non-existent election fraud that there was, although he's claiming there was massive election fraud. But his lawyers themselves, when they were trying to oppose the recount by Jill Stein, said there was no election fraud. And now he's launching a major investigation to election fraud. So we see the escalation of his false, post-truth politics, of his approach to alternative facts, now that he has the power to do so.
Yeah, and two things. 31 of the 50 secretaries of state that are in charge of elections in the United States, 31 of the 50 are Republicans, and they all have come out and said that it was a fair and free election this year. So, to that point, but further, so demonizing and kind of belittling and making into the other the press sets the stage for alternative facts. So now his supporters are open. This is like this is like what cults do to brainwash people to bring them into the cult, isn't it?
It is similar. I mean, we don't have to go to such kind of cults, kind of extremes. These are, we have a lot of other examples of where politicians do this to gain power, and they gain power. Something that I think American people may not understand. So I study cultures around the world, and I see that this sort of pattern happen in many countries. Now, we Americans are lucky that this didn't happen to us, and many people imagine that this can't happen to us just because it didn't happen to us in the past.
Right.
But just because it didn't happen to us in the past doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. So we have plenty of examples of other countries where democracies became authoritarian. They didn't go, necessarily to the stage of Khmer Rouge or to the stage of extreme cult or to the stage of Hitler, but they went to the stage of, some of them go to that stage. They went to the stage of Russia, this authoritarian democracy, not quote-unquote democracy, or what's happening in Turkey right now, where the media are, again, being repressed, some of them are shot, they're being put in prison. Trump has already expressed the desire to put in libel laws where media that were criticizing the government would be penalized financially for doing so. And he's even criticizing ordinary people. When the Hamilton actors, when they told Pence, saying, "Hey, we hope that there will be, not such a repressive government regime," or something like that, he criticized ordinary people who were going against the government, not simply the media. So our freedom of speech as ordinary people is also under attack, not simply the media. The media are first, and if we don't protect the media, everybody else is next.
Well, and what's so interesting, I'm glad that you brought up Turkey, because I wasn't thinking about that. And Ataturk, out of the Ottoman Empire, which was basically a theocratic state, Ataturk created a secular, open society, and that has been slowly getting chipped away. And you just described how Erdogan is doing that right now. That's very interesting to me. So as Americans, though, listening, so we have a fair number of Trump supporters who are mad that you and I are having this conversation right now. But what do I do about this, Dr. Tsipursky? So what is the first thing that I need to be doing when I see this whole alternative facts thing happening around me? What should I do?
Sure. So that's a great question. So that's something, as you mentioned, we're Intentional Insights. It's a nonprofit I'm run, and I'm also a professor at Ohio State who researches this sort of stuff. What we are doing is we're launching a project called the Rational Politics Project to address lies in politics. And what we are focusing on is helping people get the tools, get the resources they need to address these lies. So exactly, what do you do about them? One of the things to do is to punish politicians who are lying, even if they are on your side. Regardless, Trump supporters, I go on conservative talk shows with Trump supporters, with people who voted for Trump, talk show hosts, and I talk to them about lies in politics and how that's dangerous and how it will lead to corruption and authoritarianism, because that's pretty much the very likely inevitable result of lies in politics, because then politicians don't have to care about our opinions. They can just stuff their pockets, and that's one. And second, they can maintain power by using lies. Trump can, in 2020, say that, even if he loses, he can say that, oh, what about all those millions of illegal voters, and have his attorney general trump up another investigation and false evidence about this. So he can keep power. And corruption and authoritarianism is what people who care about lies in politics should be focusing on in conversations with other people who don't care intuitively about lies in politics, because those are issues that those people care about. They care about corruption and they care about authoritarianism. So if you connect lies in politics to things that they care about, research in educational psychology says that they will start to care about lies in politics. So getting them to care about it, that's one very important thing. Second,
Well, and that's what, and I apologize, Dr. Tsipursky, that's what we have time for, but that's the key, is starting the conversation, and that's why you and I keep talking. Dr. Gleb Tsipursky, president and co-founder of Intentional Insights at intentionalinsights.org. Dr. Tsipursky, thanks again. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Ethan. It was a pleasure.
Always. I appreciate it. All right. Well, coming up next is our CEO Spotlight. We're going to talk to CEO Brent Halver of LaCanto. Remember how I talked about the monk fruit erythritol sweetener? That's the company.